Welcome, everyone. My name is Jeff St. Laurent, and in just 1 minute, I'm going to bring on my very special guest, who is a great mentor coaching client of mine and also a brand new author. But before we get into that, let me just do my little spiel because I want to let you know how you can find these and get more great resources as I help coaches transition to a full-time business. I do record all of these shows. I put them in my university at my website, sellingcoaching.com. Like I said, I help coaches transition to a full-time business. So you can get a lot of great resources there. And if you want to start off right on the homepage, you can enter your name and email address. I've got a great audio resource called Launching Your Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. That gets you that resource. It puts you into my email community, which you can receive great emails from me on a weekly basis, tips, ideas, strategies, and it keeps you up to date on what I'm doing as well. With that being said, while I have a whole bunch of stuff to offer, I want to jump right in and introduce the new author of the best-selling book, because why not? It's going to be, right? The book of Stuck, Tess Miller. Welcome to the Tuesday Live Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, this is so cool. And this is the book. It's really cool. It's thick. It's real. And I want to take you through this journey because I wrote my first book back in 2009. And since then, as I've been working with mentor coaching clients like Tess, I think today I've got like 30, I think you make 14 clients that I've helped, from a distance, right? But put things together. But when Tess came to me, we've been working together for like 3/4 of a year. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And when she came to me, in the initial sessions, and we just talked about this before we got on, right? And she's like, well, also I'm writing a book. And now here we are, and we'll talk about the time frames. But here we are now with the book in hand, signed copy, by the way, and she'll let you know how you can get a signed copy too. But let's start. When you came to me, you had been writing this book for how long at that point?
By that point, I think I had seriously been writing it for maybe since the March before that. It was really the pandemic that pushed me in the direction of actually writing it. But prior to that, I got the idea for the book a year before the pandemic happened. So March, April of 2019, I woke up out of a dead sleep because this book just hit me on the head, so to speak. And I woke up and knew the title and everything. And that day I went to a cafe and wrote out the outline within an hour or less. And then I was all excited about it, and then life. And I didn't do anything with it until, I thought about it. It was running in the background of my mind, certainly. I hadn't forgotten about it. It's just that it was just kind of marinating. And then the pandemic happened, and I was furloughed from a lot of the work that I was doing as a musician. And so I had all this extra time on my hands and started writing it again. And the process of it, I just kind of let it flow. I didn't push myself or anything like that because that didn't seem right either. It was such a stressful time anyway. I didn't need to really exert stress on myself in that time. But I just said, if I feel like I want to say something about something related to this book, I'll sit down and do it. And so it was pretty consistent, the writing process. But I'm really glad that I didn't push myself to write it any earlier, because it would be a very different book if I had said, nope, I'm going to finish it by, in 2 months, or, I see all those people out there who are like, I wrote this in 3 weeks. And I didn't want this book to be that way, because I knew that I was going to be growing and evolving in a very important moment of everyone being stuck during a pandemic. And I figured I would have a thing or two more to learn about being stuck, as I'm writing the book of Stuck during a pandemic. So I'm really, really glad I just kind of let it naturally flow in that way.
Yeah. And when you say, I think you kind of answered that, but why do you feel it would have been different?
I wouldn't have had the perspective. I think I might have held myself back because, our inner voices can tend to say things like, well, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience before, so maybe I shouldn't write about that. But I knew full well that everybody was experiencing the idea of stuck in some area of their lives. Um, and so that kind of gave me the confidence, but also I was experiencing stuck in a very different way myself.
Mm.
It wasn't just an internal thing for me anymore as it had been, most of my life. When I've gotten stuck, it's because of me. But in this case, I was stuck not only in a lot of my own internal ways, but also externally. I couldn't, at the start of my coaching business, of course, one of the things that we talked about was you got to get in front of people. You got to get in front of people. And when everyone's in a pandemic and they're all stuck at home, it kind of forced me to realize, okay, you're going to have to get over any kind of fear of technology and putting yourself out there virtually. And so then that external, what started out as an external form of stuck, you can't go out in person anymore and present your ideas, became an internal sense of stuck. So I could really see that, even when it seems like there are externally caused forms of stuck, it still is internal. Like there is no out there. It's all in here. So it was really, really good for me to realize that aspect of being stuck.
Yeah. And you know what, Tess, what I love about this the most, I'll keep showing the book. It's really cool. Is and then this is what I want people watching this also to understand is your branding stuck, right? Like your niche is stuck, right? And like it's and here's the cool part is because a lot of us, like even myself, as I teach this, right, I say, oh, well, ideally we can narrow down, we can get specific. And you could say, well, stuck is general. Stuck with what? Everyone's stuck or, unstuck, whatever. But this is specific. Like you're like right now, as I'm listening to you, I'm like, man. And as I was going through the book, it's like, I'm like, she's the expert on stuck, right? Like you're the expert of that. And which is, that's what I think is so cool is you're so the expert. And now you got this book. It's just a matter of, people starting to see that, and you can, if anyone's stuck, like you're the person to go to. You're the go-to person because you understand it. You've dissected it, and even as I leaf through the book, and I'm starting to read a few sections, and the first thing I noticed in the table of contents, I'm like, oh, there's a whole stuck theme. Like even what was it at the end? The stucco meter, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was, you used your creativity, but you stayed on point and you didn't like go all over the place and you stayed on that. Talk about like the evolution of it. Cause this is like we said prior, so really from you waking up out of bed, out of cold sleep to actually having the book in your hands, it's been like a 2-year process.
Yeah.
So people are aware of that, time frame wise. Talk about your process of what it really took like behind the scenes to actually get this going. Because really the last 6-8 months, or even probably the little 6 months has been the real push. Like you had the table of contents prior to even meeting me. You had the idea, you had the concepts, but then it was just like, all right, this last probably 6+ months has really been the push. To talk about how you're able to do that with what you're doing with our work with the coaching business, with having a job, and then obviously having a life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think one of the things that helped me the most in the process of writing this. Because, you talk to people and you tell them, I wrote a book, and they're like, oh my God, I've always wanted to do that, but I don't know how to get started. And I think one of the things that helped me the most was my underlying intention behind writing the book. I never wavered from that intention. And the intention, ironically, was that I wanted to write it for myself. um,
Very cool.
and I didn't realize until later, as we've worked together, you have said from time to time, at some point in our conversations, you've said, really one of your jobs, I guess, as a coach and selling your coaching is that you are having conversations with people who are essentially you, just a few steps back. That was one of our first conversations when I was all, what's my niche? I don't know. And, you had that great clarifying conversation with me about that. And it was very obvious. It was very clear. Oh, my niche is really helping people that are me just a few steps back. And so when I realized, and this was before we started working together, when I got the idea for the book, I realized right away, I have to write this book for myself because I am feeling very stuck right now. I had just graduated with my coaching certification, and my life hadn't changed yet. I was still doing all the things that I was doing before, except now I had this coaching certification and I had this desire to get out there and coach, but I was stuck. I didn't know what my next step was going to be in that process. And so my intention was, okay, write this book for yourself. You've been here before lots of times. You have ideas on how to get yourself unstuck, so put it down. And chances are really good if you write it down, it might help somebody else. So it's a win-win. So that was my underlying intention. And I kept coming back to that every single time because stuck is not something that you just work through one time and then you're done with it and you say, wow, that was really awful. I was stuck and now I'm not. We always have a tendency to land back in a place of feeling stuck in various areas of our lives. You can get untangled in one area and then land in a pile of stuck in a different place in your life, and the same tools are going to apply. And so that's sort of what kind of pushed me to keep writing the book and to keep thinking about the book from different angles. And then in terms of the writing process, I noticed myself getting stuck. Ironically, I think I remember various conversations with you of, okay, Jeff, I'm stuck doing this. And it would kind of be funny, like
Yeah.
frustrating, but also funny. The irony was never lost on me. But, fortunately, that was part and parcel of that process of helping myself so that I can essentially help other people get through that process. So it was always like the work of writing the book had extra meaning behind it. Because, yeah, it was for me, but it's also for the other people I haven't met yet who could really benefit from this. So giving it that like larger picture, that larger benefit really pushed me along the way to keep going with it. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm glad you were able to outline that because it's different motivations, right? Something like, oh, I'm writing a book for an external reason. And yes, there's plenty of external reasons in terms of the credibility it can give you, what it can do for your business and opening up doors and opportunities, which is now our journey together, right? As they help you beyond from here. But the biggest piece was you did it for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so personal. That's what makes it so real. That's what makes it so powerful. And I believe that's the thing that as you get it out there, and as I'm listening to you now, Because obviously I know certain things, but I don't know all the things. So it's good hearing that because I didn't understand that part of it for you. And that's going to be we can utilize that very well as we start to market because, and when you when you do events around the book, it's like, I didn't write this for you. I wrote this for me. And that's what gives you the most credibility because you're not saying, oh, just because I wrote a book on stuck that like I'm the master of stuck, right? Like well, you are the authority because you wrote a freaking book on it, but it doesn't mean you're immune from it. And that's just, to me, is what makes the most authentic, real, and the message even more powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so human to be stuck. Like that's kind of part and parcel of evolution. You know, the most stuck I feel is usually the springboard for getting out of it.
Mm.
You know, so the more stuck I feel, the more growth I know is going to happen. But it took me a long time to really figure that out and understand it. So if I can comfort other people knowing, yeah, I know you feel really, really crummy right now about being stuck, but there is going to be so much sunshine on the other side of that. And you're going to be ultimately so happy you went through this process.
Yeah. And I love your message around that is it's a place for hope. It's a door that says, if you can just work through this stuckness, right? Then on the other side, there's hope, there's opportunity, there's results. And you almost make stuck sound exciting. Like, oh my God, I'm stuck. This is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. So as we start to kind of pull this together, what are you most excited about now as now an accomplished author, a woman who can say like, oh, I just authored my first book, and you have it in hands and it's solid. I mean, gosh, it's how many pages? It's like it's 200 pages, right? Like when I got that book, that was the first thing I'm like, oh, this is like, it's a real book, and what's your perspective now in terms of how you look at your business? That even while you're writing, like that you see how you see it maybe differently that you couldn't have seen until you actually had the book in your hand.
Yeah, I think now having it is helping me get unstuck from my own limiting beliefs of talking to other people about presenting. I know that that's one of the things I've been trying to do is like get in front of more audiences and, I would send emails out and I would call people and, try to do all the things to get in front of them. But now that there's a book that I can say, hey, I have this book that I just wrote and it is something that I could do a workshop around and help people in your group. Let me know if you're interested in that. And everyone is like, oh my God, I need that. I really need that. I don't care if other people want to come. I want to attend that. So far, I feel like the book has really given me a lot more oomph, I guess, behind any ideas that I pitch to other people. I am in that process now of setting up live events now that we're less stuck in terms of the pandemic.
Right.
I'm setting up those events right now. And it's really exciting to be able to know that people want to hear about this. They want to, see me doing a workshop around the book. And yeah, it just seems like it's a lot easier to have your conversations be around this other book rather than having it be, hi, I'm a coach and I want to talk to you. That just doesn't, I don't know, that to me, that doesn't feel as comfortable as putting it all on the book in a way.
Yeah.
So it's such a great vehicle for that. If anybody is concerned about having those conversations, like when you can put it on something else that you've created, it's content, it is yours and it is you, but it doesn't feel as much like it's about you. It's about using what you've created as the vehicle of service to help people. And, Yeah. So it's just a lot more comfortable for me personally in that way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a great vehicle, like you said, and it's a loophole. To me, it's a loophole in marketing, right? Because it's like it goes from being seemingly so challenging, especially in a cold market conversation, to like, hey, I just wrote this book, and I'm excited about it. It's about called The Book of Stuck, and I'm looking to set up some events, and it people the first reaction, like you said, right? It's good to hear you say that. It's like, oh my God, what's it about? Like, oh my God, that sounds. Oh, we need that, and it flows from there. Whereas like without this, it's like you just don't have the key. It's not impossible, but it's more
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
So Tess, thank you so much for coming on here today. But thank you for being a freaking awesome student, because you even without this, like just you do the work. Like we've been working together now, like we're closing in on a year as we get towards, the next quarter. But you do the work and you communicate, you give me updates, when we don't have like regular sessions, you're like, hey, here's what I've been doing, and you push through hard things when you're not sure what to do. You ask questions. You're a student, you listen and you apply even when it doesn't feel good or it's uncomfortable. And you followed through with this. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And this is like, it's so only the beginning for you. It's so only the beginning. And I'm excited to see where our journey goes, because I just know in the next year, 2 years, as now we start to unfold this into, it's going to be crazy what happens. So.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey, so much for everything. Working with you has absolutely been the piece for me that I needed. As much as I wanted to write the book, it was really knowing that you were there, like, all right, come on, let's do this, but not in an overbearing way at all whatsoever. Like you really motivate in a very nurturing way that has always worked really well for me. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much. And thank you for people watching live or the recording of this, and hopefully it inspires them to take action, and whether it's on a book or anything in their business. That's kind of the piece about it. And then if they do want to get a copy of the Book of Stuck, how might they do that? So you can give me a link afterwards I can put with the recording, but for right now, like where could they go to get a copy?
Yeah, they can, it's on Amazon, but if they want to order a copy directly from me, they could check out my website, www.tess-miller.com. And they can, contact me through that way, send me a message, and I'll send you a copy, a signed copy of my book. Or if you just want the book right now in your hands, then you can go over to Amazon and look up The Book of Stuck, include my name, because the algorithm, it's so new that nobody has really reviewed it yet. So the algorithms make it a little difficult to find. But if you want to write me a review, that would be great too. So yeah, so just contact me or get the book off of Amazon.